Good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. Boris Johnson has been summoned by a court to face accusations of misconduct in public office. It follows claims he made during the Brexit referendum in 2016 that the UK sent £350 million to the European Union every week. A judge at Westminster Magistrates Court has ruled that Mr Johnson should appear before a Crown Court. Here's our political correspondent, Jonathan Blake.
The claim at the heart of this case, made by Boris Johnson and others in the EU referendum campaign, that the UK sends £350 million a week to the European Union. Now, in the first case of its kind, the former Foreign Secretary is, for his use of that claim, accused of misconduct in a public office, a criminal offence. Marcus Bull, a businessman here on the right, is behind the legal challenge, a private prosecution financed by an online crowdfunding campaign. In previous hearings, his lawyers have claimed Boris Johnson repeatedly lied and misled the British public about the cost of membership of the EU.
Good morning.
Mr Johnson's representatives have suggested the case is a stunt aimed at undermining the referendum result. His lawyers say he denies acting improperly or dishonestly at any time. Today, a district judge ruled that there was enough evidence for a trial to proceed, but stressed the allegations against Boris Johnson are unproven. He will now have to attend Westminster Magistrates Court for a preliminary hearing before the case is sent to Crown Court for trial. As the frontrunner in the contest to become the next Prime Minister, this case will be an unwelcome distraction for Boris Johnson and may be used by his opponents against him. Jonathan Blake, BBC News, Westminster.
Our assistant political editor Norman Smith joins us from Westminster. Picking up on that point from Jonathan, Norman, the timing of this not great for the Johnson camp.
Could hardly be more catastrophic. He hasn't really even got out of the blocks to launch his campaign, and at the very least you'd have to say it is a massive distraction. He clearly would want to get over his policies, his ideas on Brexit, the sort of Prime Minister he would be. Instead, he's going to have to focus a lot of his time just trying to dampen down the inevitable frenzy that will surround this court case. And it does open up the extraordinary juxtaposition of Boris Johnson at one and the same time being in the dock, at the same time as he's seeking to become Prime Minister, and in the dock facing the possibility of potentially a prison sentence at precisely the moment he's asking people to trust him with the most important job in public life. And I have no doubt his critics and opponents, maybe not publicly, maybe not openly, but in the margins and whispers asides, will raise the character question, saying, in effect, here we go again. This is a man who's been involved in innumerable scrapes and scraps, tumbles and tussles throughout his political career, some that he's got through, others which he's sort of crashed and burned after. And they will raise the question, can you really trust this man? Now, his supporters will say, well, this is ridiculous. These were arguments put in the hurly-burly of political debate of every politician who uses loose language or cavalier use of statistics is going to end up in the dock. Then half of Westminster's going to end up in the jug. But for Team Johnson, surely it raises the fear of history repeating itself. Last time his leadership campaign was brought to a premature end after Michael Gove raised the character question. Could it once again be brought to a premature end if this court case reignites those questions about Boris Johnson's character?
OK, Norman, thank you for that. Norman Smith there at Westminster.